What's up, everybody? It's me, Adan Allende from the Golden Lotus podcast. We're here with the wonderful, iconic Yogi Sanjivana. Sanji, how are you? Tell me something good. Tell me your good news.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adan. It's a great pleasure to be here in this podcast. And yeah, today also there was a person who was like almost like on the edge, like almost like suicidal, and was able to help this person come back and show that there isn't so much problems as he assumed. So first it was like very how to say dramatic and all, and lot of things
Mm-hmm.
happening, and this person was like in shock, and then and was telling like I had everything, like everything is wasted. No, like all the time, energy this person used to put in life, and then slowly you had to listen to this person a lot, and slowly try
Mm-hmm.
to help him actually like slowly come back uh, to kind of like but there'll be like more time sessions and all to be done, but it's going in a good way. So that was one of like the best things, but there was some more and more things happening within the day. How about you,
Mm-hmm.
Adan? What happened today?
I'm good. I'm good. Just enjoying the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. Singing a lot, entertaining, having
uh,
fun. Then I have on the horizon another degree,
oh wow.
another university degree coming up in August.
Uh-huh.
So good things happening. Continuing the education, growing every day, learning, meditating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot of visualizations. I was looking at this neuroscientist on Instagram, and she was talking about how like you close your eyes, right? And when you imagine what you want, the brain really doesn't know the difference between your imagination, what you're thinking, and real life. And it's amazing. It's amazing how, and even divine, how I could just, and now my manifestation is like exponentially growing. I think it's because I don't know if the earth is going into like a new sort of evolution of transition through the galaxy of energy, that it's sort of, golden age in our grasp from David Wilcock, Synchronicity Key. So I don't know, or maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me as a soul, as on my reincarnation, on my path. I've been able to, develop these manifestation abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I just close my eyes. It could be small things. It could be like I want a parking lot, or I want to, meet somebody that I'll laugh with today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool. It's cool how you could just put out the intention into the world. You put that intention and you can manifest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
But circling back to what you were, okay, go on. Yeah.
no, please.
No, you go, you.
No, it's so true what this person, this lady or someone had told. And what you are
Mm-hmm.
saying, yeah, there is a lot of activity that is happening in this world as well as the universe. And then talking about uh, what you said, like the mind, it accepts how it. There is a in ancient wisdom they talk about a procedure that happens. So they were very
Mm.
specific. So it is true, like it doesn't know which is like reality or and what is like we bring up in our minds also, no, like you mentioned in a
Yeah,
positive way. So it doesn't
right.
it's like the final process. So what we give the data analysis and all, it accepts or knows,
Yeah.
gets to know. So it's like data, no, like people watching some television or some media or anything, they process it and they put it and make programs and all, and then they give feed, send the feed, no, and the person maybe
Mm.
like receives it or knows it, no, gets to know it.
Right.
So likewise the consciousness or the mind, it or either it can be false even, in a way, all what is processed, uh, that it receives, or it knows. Actually, the word knowing is used.
Hmm. You know, when you're talking about knowing, um, I'll circle back to Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst, student of Freud, very
I
mystical,
read about him
read
today.
book.
Really, that's how I.
Yeah. Oh, you
Uh,
read about it today?
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
You were
cool.
talking. We had about
Yeah.
dreams, a discussion about dreams, and then
Dreams.
Sigmund Freud, and then this Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then we have, you know, the archetypes, the collective unconscious. And there was an interview of Carl Jung, and basically the interviewer said, "Do you believe in God?" And he says, "I don't need to believe. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know God is real."
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference. There's a difference between like just like the good Samaritan or the Christian or the Hindu or the Buddhist or the Taoist saying, "Oh, I believe in the Tao," or "Oh, I believe in Buddha or
Mm-hmm.
Krishna or Muhammad." But it's anybody could just say they believe, but are you living a life that is in line with the divinity?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could say, "Oh, I believe in God," but are you living? Are you lying or are you telling the truth? Are you hurting other people or are you living a life of forgiveness
Mm-hmm.
and love? Are you working ethically and making a living as an honest person with integrity, or are you, you know, stealing from other people?
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's more than just like I'm gonna go to the priest and like hit my chest and whip myself and say, "Oh, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. God forgive me."
Mm-hmm.
It's much more than that. It's taking accountability, and I don't think that something that I like about Judaism is that the person that you hurt, instead of like going to God for forgiveness or instead of going to the priest so that you could confess to them in Judaism, you'll go to the person that you hurt. And I forget how many times you ask for forgiveness. Let's just say it's three. I'm not positive, but let's just say it's three. You ask three times for forgiveness, and if they say no, that's it. You're not forgiven. You're going to have to live with it, live with that karma. And the Orthodox Jews believe in reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And circling back to our first episode when we were talking about samsara, I quote this all the time. I don't know the exact passage of the Bible, but in that book, The Synchronicity Key from David Wilcock, he talks about how there are passages from the Old Testament that made it to the New Testament that allude to reincarnation. And I was reading it the other day. I just like opened the Bible. I like as divination, I like to read the Bible. So not being like a devout Christian or Catholic, I just like it as a sacred holy text that I can use as divination. So I close my eyes, I say, "Oh, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, Buddha, Krishna, Shiva, Mother Mary, Lao Tzu, all the archangels and ascended masters, Hermes Trismegistus, Merlin, Luke, just like Kuan Yin, all the like Buddha, all beautiful, beautiful invocation, and I connect to that higher power and all the plethora of beings that protect me, the divine beings, you know, guardian angel, spirit guide, etc., etc. Loved ones that have passed away that are protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just focus and I open the Bible. I say, guide me to the right page. And I'll open, and literally the question, Sanji, the question that I ask will inevitably every single time, 100% of the time, directly be related to what I was asking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either that I am brilliant and I'm connecting to a collective unconscious that has access to the database of all the prophets and writers that read this biblical corpus hyperlink that's been, you know, edited and made and rewritten and translated over millennia. And what I'm getting at is that, circling back to the reincarnation, I opened up on a passage, and the passage basically said, I'm indirectly quoting it, and I'm not paraphrasing, I'm just saying that it says, and you because once upon a time you were once born before this life. I'm
Mhm.
like, or something like that. Once, because
Mhm.
you were born before, and they're not alluding to this
Mhm.
being born. And I'm like, this is, I believe, as an advocate of reincarnation,
Mhm.
I really think that the Bible is spot on when it talks about reincarnation. And Jesus, I'm almost certain that he was in India. He practiced yoga.
They say
And he
something.
did the Kriya Yoga
Mhm.
and the Taoist sexology and the Tantra and aligning and manifesting and, prophetic gifts. And I think we could develop powers if we really focus on spirituality and our practice. And you look at these Indian gurus,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Levitating. And how do they do it? My theory is that basically they go into a state of overcoming gravity because their vibration is so high.
Mhm.
So, but what do you think about that?
You mean levitating?
Yeah,
Ah, okay. So, yeah,
that's
like,
cool.
yeah, no. I remember there was a funny story. Like one person like went to do like uh programs in like uh, actually it was a correctional facility, no, and or prison, no. And first days
Yeah.
like there was like it was packed full, and he didn't even believe
Uh.
like no there will be people for the and then little by little when next day it reduced, next day it reduced, there was like only couple of people left it seems. And then
Mhm.
he just asked like why the first day there was so many, no, and then they told
Yeah.
we thought you'll teach us to levitate, no. And they were planning to like levitate off the walls and go, no? So but it didn't happen, no, sadly. And then yeah, so it takes like lot of yeah. Uh, some people talk about in jhana practice, and you go to the eight
Mm.
jhanas, and then you have to master these kind of things, which can bring you like special powers. Like you can, like you said, like levitate, in move even from place to place, and then you can sink into the earth, go on walk on like travel on water. So you can one person can be like even thousand forms of themselves. uh, you can check your past lives. You can read minds.
Mm.
These kind of things. They used to go and touch the sun.
Amazing.
In ancient books, it says like they could go and touch the sun and the moon even. And
Mm.
yeah, and in like
It's
Bud-
fantastic.
yeah, for Buddhist monks and all, they had said like in some
Mhm.
places they have this for like
Yeah.
how to say the precepts. They say like don't do
Mm.
these practices. And they have specifically said like don't touch the sun, don't go touch the moon and the sun. Really, they have said for some reason, right? Maybe now they
Yeah.
don't do that, but maybe they used to do that those days, no? Maybe 2000 years ago, and
Wow.
so they have put like don't do this practice, these kind of practices. So
Yeah.
it says like you'd go to the jhanas, and then from there, and then it is said like our physical body, because it's elements, right? Now we have this idea of
Yeah.
like okay this is this much of weight and we are holding it, but like we discussed, like the message to the consciousness comes from different times, from different places. For example, we are now sitting still, and signals from
Mm.
our shoulders, body, even when we are touching the surface of what we are sitting upon, the legs and all, it always gives like a indication. And for example, Adan, like say
Mhm.
we go in the morning. In some places, like you fill up a vessel of water and keep, and then you know how heavy it is, no? Uh, And then
Mhm.
we go, and then sometimes it's not full, but we put the weight that we thought it was full, and then oh, it's half empty. Or like it's not empty, but we think
Yeah.
it's full, and we put that weight, no? So likewise, even our body, we we assume this is this much, and we always bring up that weight and that measurement there. Not that it
Yeah,
is uh, present or anything, but there's a rising and passing that happens all the time. So when you take your mind to a very subtle stage, you can surpass or go past that stages. And then what happens is that ideal of the conceptual idea changes. Then within that it becomes like a ball of clay. You can mold it in any way or shape and do. That's why it's called in a way like we call psychic powers or supernatural powers actually.
yeah,
So people go to those stages,
supernatural. Mm-hmm.
and then, but there's lot of practice and mastery to be done.
Right, right. Mindfulness. There's this great book called "Pieces Every Step" from Thich Nhat Hanh,
Uh-huh.
and he's a Buddhist monk. Or
Mm,
was I'm not sure if
mm.
he's still alive, but
He passed
basically in
away.
his
He
book,
passed away.
oh, he did. Oh, rest in peace.
Uh-huh.
His book, "Pieces Every Step." I remember when I read it for the first time. It was basically just like when you're in your meditation practice, you could just close your eyes and be aware of your breath.
Mm-hmm.
You're just like power of now. He also says in the breath and the awareness of what you're feeling, that pain body disappears.
Mm-hmm.
If you're conscious, it's like if you're conscious of whatever is tormenting you, it diminishes just because you're aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the monster under the covers or in the closet or whatever, it's out of the shadows, there you're like, oh, okay, I see it. It's not I'm not afraid of it because I know it's there. But I think that that's why so many people are afraid of the unknown. Many, fundamentalist Christians or Catholic or Jews or Muslims, just like very, very fixated in their ways. They don't really open up to different kinds of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're afraid of what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I want to learn about something new, for example, I love the unknown. I love
Mm-hmm.
speaking to people that are different than me. I love learning. I love, you know, it's okay to have differences. And because that's what makes life interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I think that if we in life try to find the common ground with people that are different than us, it's not only religious, it's political, it's different ways. Nobody's going to be exactly like us.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I think that if we can be able to have a peaceful dialogue and respectful and diplomatic ways of have conversing and talking to people that are different than us, and finding the common ground. For example, okay, I'm Buddhist and you're Christian. What's our common ground? We both believe in a higher power. Great.
Mm-hmm.
We both believe that we should treat people with respect. Amazing. We both believe that, I mean, if you think about it, Buddhism and
That's good.
Christianity have that common
Mm-hmm.
form of ethics and morality.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them are a little bit, different,
Mm-hmm.
but in essence, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
How do we use this religion to live a good life?
Mm-hmm.
To live a life of doing the right thing, treating people with love, respect. I think that the Buddhist metaphor. So in Christianity and Buddhism, they both believe in an afterlife,
Mm-hmm.
right? In Christianity, it's more there's going to be an afterlife and you're going to pay the consequences
Mm-hmm.
for your negative actions in an eternal damnation or an eternal paradise, which is heaven, or a purgatory,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then Buddhism is more like, you're gonna pay for it here. Whatever you do, you're gonna come back, and you're gonna keep reincarnating and reincarnating and reincarnating until you learn your lesson and graduate to the next level.
Mhm. Yeah, actually, Buddha gave a nice example for this. He gave uh, birds lay eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the same nest there are like eggs, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then some little birds they break the shell and come out, right? So
Yeah.
likewise, yeah. So egg is a very safe place, or supposed to be a safe place where uh, little being can grow, right? So
Mm-hmm.
likewise, and then some people reach even enlightenment, goes beyond those, no? And so likewise, the some of those birds they come out also and reach the highest
Mm-hmm.
peaks of things, no? Or
Yeah.
the goals or like the destinations. So he also didn't say this is bigger than the other or anything like that, because he was challenged by many people. No, he was asking like, so he gave this example actually, and they asked like, uh, who who do you think you are, or do you think you are bigger than the other people or something like that? No, higher than the other people.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't say. And then some places they ask him like, "Are you?" There was a person who met him on the way and asked like, "Who are you?"
Mm-hmm.
No? And finally, he gave like a list of things and asked like, "Are you a god or no? Are you a Brahma or like are you a demon?" All these things he asked. No? And finally, he asked like,
Mm-hmm.
are you human?" He said no for all those. Uh, and then what is word was like, I'm Anantajina. Anantajina means like a person who had won. Uh,
Yeah.
the one that had won. The one that had won, he said. Huh?
The one that had won.
Yeah, yeah. So when then that person said, okay, or maybe, and he left it. But later he came back searching for Buddha because there was a whole story behind it, and that happened.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't even label himself as such and such even. Yeah. So.
Label. I feel like labeling, and then when we go back to the Tao, it talks about how when you try to put a word and describe the Tao, you
Mm.
limit what it really is.
Oh, okay.
Because us as humans, in our lexicon and our language, what we want to constantly humanize things. We want to constantly put a tag and put a description so that we can associate whatever we're looking at so that we could feel okay with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we just like sat down and looked at a flower without saying, "Oh, that's a flower," to myself? Just like look at it in the most present moment as if that flower is the essence of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is alive, right? This tree is alive, the water molecules are alive, the animals are alive, you and I are alive, our technology is alive.
Mm-hmm.
But the animating principle, that life force, that Godhead, the Eckhart, the Meister Eckhart Godhead, that essence. I mean, consciousness. Some scientists think that there's not a soul, and Buddhism doesn't believe in a soul, do they?
Some places Buddha mentioned as a soul. It's
Okay.
about the explanation. Like
Yeah.
when people used to talk about a person and thing, he mentioned,
Mm.
like for example, like there's nobody else to save your soul than yourself. But when he took
Mm.
it further, he used to say like this is non-self, because in a momentary process, how can you point out to say like there is something permanent? And if it's a phenomena that ever changes and nothing, that one this moment helps the other, but this what if this moment perishes, and we never find it again, and then it helps
Yeah.
like a domino effect to for the other. It's cause and effect, like we talked last time. So within that scenario, how can you find something that is permanent? This is what he said.
Nothing is permanent
uh,
except for the soul, right? That's the only thing that doesn't change.
yeah, he said like even that,
Yeah.
because if that is
Mm,
energy, or it is some kind of energy, huh? Then
yeah.
energy source cannot sustain without the process happening, because it's build up of another huge amount of causes, right? That creates the
Mm-hmm.
next one, that creates the next one, like no, one to the other, one to the other, it goes on. So within that, like how can we say, like we can see, if we take a time duration and all, we can say a person lived 100 years or 80 years, 60 years. We take that to, but within that he had even like seconds of his life, or he or she, no? And had seconds. Or what if it was even faster, happening faster, the rising and passing moments, no? It happened physically and mentally. So then, like looking at a flowing river, when you just point it and say, but it had already passed. We can say this river
Mm-hmm.
flows from that those springs up the mountain of such and such mountain, sometimes far
Mm-hmm.
away, from many countries ahead, and it flows and it comes to the ocean and it meets the ocean here.
Right.
But it had traveled so much, no? And in those
So
countries
far,
also,
yeah.
they give different names sometimes. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So
Yeah.
even the water we will be pointing, it flows right continuously. So we take the
Mm-hmm.
bulk of
Mm-hmm.
things and we say, but the real process actually flows and changes. And there can be
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like we say this is the river, but in a dry hot season it disappears totally or flows
Mm-hmm.
underground. We don't even see a river, but yet we say this is the borderline or this is the boundary. Uh, and this is in the wet season or something, this is the where the river flows. But it
Right.
might be a river, right? So likewise,
Yeah.
uh, likewise we take the external. So this is conceptual reality. In the ultimate reality, we won't have a chance to say this is such and such. But that doesn't
Right.
mean we deny the conceptual reality.
The conceptual reality, concepts. I feel that concepts are always in the eye of the beholder, and we live in a very subjective universe, right? Because something, objectively, something could be happening, but since we're perceiving everything through our filter, through our traumas, through our consciousness, through our insecurities, through our ego, ego, super ego, I think to be able to get into an objective place where we could step out of ourselves and out of the box and be like, okay, so this is what's happening in this situation.
Mm,
You kind of get those aha moments for the person who prays to Jesus, or that meditates to Buddha,
mhm,
or that does the asanas to Krishna or Ganesha. I think when you have that solitude, when you have that connection to the higher power, life force, Godhead, universal order, divine love, bliss, the Tao, the emptiness, the darkness. And it's not darkness out of negativity, it's just darkness out of like void,
mhm.
pure space. What are your views on the Big Bang Theory and the beginning of life as we know it?
Oh.
Cells, evolution, sort of celestial bodies. Was there always planets, or was there somehow just some nothingness before the explosion, if
Mhm.
there was one?
Yeah, so many religions and all or ancient scriptures say in many ways it happened. and some talk
Mm-hmm.
about a divine intervention, no, and these kind of things. So
Mm-hmm.
some, like when you take similarities, uh, even for example, they talk about many universes that are always present. So it's like this. They have even given the calculations and all these things, and they have given specific names
Mm-hmm.
also. So from the things like most common I found, it says like, for example, like say this is our galaxy or universe. Uh, so there's like a bunch of them, like parallel, or
Mm-hmm.
like in four directions, all four directions.
Mm, okay.
But it's countless. It goes on. Uh, and then within this our universe, there's the human realm with the animal kingdom. There are the hells and the heavens, and even jhanic realms. So in many traditions we see this, and they talk about times like, okay, say this is our
Oh.
universe. Huh? There are the others, no, in four directions. Just say, huh? And then there is a time that beings can live in this, like we are living now. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a time period that no being can live, and it's going to perish, get destroyed.
Yeah.
So the heat and also like these cycles, like we hear from science and all. Huh? There are inner cycles as well as outward cycles, the bigger ones. And it can destroy
Yeah.
all this kind of existence of humanity, divine as well as like the hells. Huh? But there are so many others, people, or they can be reincarnated or born in those places, even the heavens. Huh? So what happens is like, uh, yeah, there's a time beings can live, and there's a time of destruction, and there's like a void, nothing there. And there's a
Yeah.
time that is like it's constructed by the elements, like element, like it's not like, it's actually like the dust particles they talk of. And then
Mm-hmm.
in these ancient masters talk about like they use their psychic powers and all, and or they go to their past lives and they see like worldly destructions. It's fascinating. Huh? And they
Wow.
yeah, they go like many lifespans. And even in like meditation practices, the teachers even ask you to explore and see whether you can see the cycle of destruction. So I remember there was like a young person who was brilliant, and he said, this is what he said. He was born in the first Jani Chrome, first Jani Chrome. So he practiced Jhana and become born in that cell. So uh, he saw yeah one. So it says like one time with water, seven times with water. Sorry, seven times with fire, seven times with water, one time with air, earth, wind, water, fire. Yeah, yeah. So there are like cycles that happens. Huh? So he was not in actually
Okay.
not the first. I think maybe the fourth or someplace like that. And because those Johnny Chromes also they get destroyed with this cycle. Then there are inner cycles, like we are doing now. Like beings get destroyed because of weapons,
Mm.
destruction, and yeah, destruction, disease, and famine. Inner These
Yeah.
are inner cycles, and then the outer ones destroy the whole bigger ones. It's like wheels, no? Like the wheels, inner wheels are also turning, and the outer wheels are also
Mm-hmm.
turning. So many
Yeah.
inner wheels make a one shift of a bigger wheel. So
Yeah.
maybe this, because many inner wheels are happening, but it's long spans of time. But maybe
Mm-hmm.
this is the reason we find residue of different civilizations, places, or like they
Right.
find
Ruins,
exactly lost cities, all these things.
pyramids.
uh, so then what happens is like, uh, there this when I was, he saw like our universe suddenly coming
Mm-hmm.
covered up with water, and it just melted the way he said. Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, just like this, or like a lump of clay or something. It just
Mm.
dissolved. So it is actually mentioned. So he didn't made it up or anything, no? Like he was trying his meditation and he explained, and it was like he didn't go around telling, oh, you know what I saw like that. No, I went to meet him and I asked him, no, how was your experience? So then, yeah, so these kind of cycles happen, and um but the thought process of the beings also are also it's involved. Thought process of the beings. For example, now we are
Mm-hmm.
going in kind of like a destructive cycle because many human beings and all, and uh, they have a negative impact on this. So then the
Mm-hmm.
climates and all change in a very like a very negative way, actually, harmful way.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can switch and do the opposite, we can switch the tides even. But like now going like in it's mentioned as Kali Yuga. No, uh,
Kali Yuga. Yeah.
in some places
The
it.
Bronze Age.
Uh-huh. So it's like going in a, but this is like making way for a new thing to arise. They have
Yeah.
to be like destruction because man is creating it. They are
Mm-hmm.
creating it, and these are man-made, and even their thinking
Right.
patterns affect in a big way.
Using our free will to do bad actions
Mm,
inevitably will cause strife and negative energy for their life
sure.
and for the life of ones around them.
Yeah. Even all beings, huh? Even the animals and everybody, no?
Everything around gets affected.
Mm,
So yeah, and like I thought before about the Shaolin monks.
mm, mm, mm.
What are your views on how their spirituality, believing in a past life, and believing in reincarnation, can influence the way they fight in battle?
Oh, their training is very powerful from small days, and they do it a lot, no?
Mm-hmm.
So when you train for a long time, and they had to do that, no, because they have a lot of problems they had to face those days.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to be equipped and all, and they use like very simple utensils to protect themselves. So in actually, Buddha also said like not to like harm people, but you can protect
Yeah.
yourself in a danger. So that can mean like you are trying to kick your say out of the situation, uh, even if it's like some abusive situation. You don't have to just wait. Oh, I'm a monk and all, and like okay, anybody can do anything to me. No, you don't have to be like that. Not that you are
Yeah.
trying to harm these people, but you can, for the sake of like escaping that situation, you can do. Uh, so not to take weapons and try to like harm them. But
Yeah.
so these monks also had to adjust, and it kind of like evolved. And with the training, with the mental power, because physical power also enhances the mental power, no? And sheer determination and that rigorous training and everything. So then they do their meditations also. So then surely uh, they can go to heights of an average more, much more than average human, because they are well trained, no? Physically as well as
Yeah.
mentally, and you see them doing like things that are like amazing, no?
Mm-hmm.
Like any other martial arts people and all, they train very hard, no?
Yeah. I
This.
find it interesting. I find with the Tao we have the path of non-resistance, right? And that sort of Gandhi Buddha approach. And then in the Kung Fu, right, you're not doing force against force, you're redirecting energy.
Mm-hmm,
And there's like an interview of Bruce Lee talking about it, like being formless, being like water,
mm-hmm,
being able to like go basically. what the Shaolin monk does is that as the water, let's say that they're like they are the water.
Uh,
So basically, if you can be like water, you could become anything.
mm-hmm,
You can become anything you any sort of container you're put into. And also the interesting thing about why, like, I think it's interesting that he chose water as the metaphor of what we should be like,
mm-hmm,
because also water adapts not only to shapes of containers but also to temperatures of the climate.
uh-huh,
If it's very cold, the water's gonna get solid,
mm-hmm,
and you become solid for your own survival.
mm-hmm,
And then if it's very warm, there you relax and you become fluid. Fluidity.
mm-hmm,
So I think that's the Shaolin monks are incredible. I went to China 3 times.
mm-hmm,
I was in Hainan, in Sanya, which is to the south of Shenzhen,
uh-huh,
and that was an interesting experience. I was able to learn a little bit of kung fu,
okay,
acupressure.
uh-huh,
I learned a little bit of, you know, I really started studying the Tao, and I took a little seminar on traditional Chinese medicine and different herbs that you can take, different teas, tinctures.
mm-hmm,
I find it very fascinating the way that in Asia in general, especially the traditional Chinese medicine, the way they treat maladies and ailments and sicknesses in comparison to the Western form of approaching medicine, right? I feel like we want to use medication to take care of symptoms, but sometimes, not always, but sometimes it doesn't really get to the root cause of it.
mm-hmm,
Right? So, oh man, my back hurts. I'm gonna take a pain medication, but you
mm-hmm,
don't realize that the reason your back hurts is because your core isn't strong.
mm-hmm,
So if you go to the root cause and you fortify your core and your abdomen, then your back won't hurt.
mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or,
Yeah,
oh, I
true.
have heartburn. I have heartburn. It's like, oh, you have heartburn. You're going to keep taking antacids, but you don't realize that you might have an underlying condition in your stomach that's causing that constant heartburn.
Mm-hmm,
So what you want is to go to the right doctors, go to the Western doctors that love you, that take care of you, that are good
mm-hmm,
people, that prescribe medication that's chemical medications, that it's when it's absolutely necessary
exactly.
to solve that problem, because I'm sure there are things that Western medicine could do in a certain amount of time that Eastern medicine can't do, and also there are certain things that herbs and natural supplements can do that sometimes Western medicine just doesn't hit the threshold.
Mm-hmm,
So I think it's important for us to combine the East, combine the West
mm,
medically,
sure, sure.
get that those natural herbs, those supplements. Obviously, consult your physician, but you can, all the vitamins, for sleep, magnesium glycinate, L-theanine, melatonin, instead of resorting to like a heavy medication to tranquilize you to sleep. When you could do acupressure, these points right here, right
Mm-hmm,
behind the ears, at the top of the neck. That's a
mm-hmm.
great acupressure point to fall asleep.
All the same.
Also on the ears, you could push this here.
Mm-hmm,
And also like on the foot, let's say that this is my foot, right?
mm-hmm,
I'll go from here and then I'll be massaging in this direction.
mm-hmm,
I think it's 36 times, and you do that and that and that. And literally it's fascinating how acupressure and acupuncture is able to align the energy of the meridians,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because we are energy,
Sure.
right? And then you're like, oh, I love the fact that in the traditional Chinese medicine, they have the different elements,
Mm-hmm,
right? It's like they have the metal, the wind, the earth, the fire,
mm-hmm,
the water, and there's different foods that contain those elements.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like going circling back to the heartburn, if you have heartburn, maybe it's because you're eating out of metal cutlery and drinking out of a red cup.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, if you have that, what you want to be doing is drinking out of a blue cup and eating from wooden chopsticks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really it's a whole rabbit hole that you could go down in a lifetime of studying. But I do
Yeah.
find it very important to be able to bring the East to the West medically, religiously, philosophically, educationally, and trying to find the common ground and love each other and be tolerant and communicate. And I think that the essence of uh, for me the ultimate ideal of spirituality is to love one another,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Surely.
As Jesus said, love thy neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Do good for the other person, and then forgive,
Mm-hmm.
because forgiving isn't about forgiving. I think there's a misconception. There's a great book from Dr. Scott Peck. He was a psychiatrist and a Christian, and basically he says that I'm indirectly quoting, but basically he says that he says because just because you say you're sorry, sorry, when just because you're forgiving somebody that's saying they're sorry doesn't mean you're being weak,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a way for you to forgive but still have that little boundary. It's like, I
Uh-huh.
forgive you, no harm, everybody's human, nobody's perfect, I
Mm-hmm.
forgive you. But it's always good to have that awareness. For example, me, I was quilted and sheltered, and I was in a bubble with my family for my whole life. And it wasn't until I moved out of my house to go live at the dorm of my university that I started to get a taste of, you know, what unhappy people that could be jealous of you,
Mm-hmm.
that want to inflict harm on you, can do. Because
Mm-hmm.
I always had this perspective of the good nature of people, and my parents gave me an incredible life. I was basically that's the word, quilted and
Mm-hmm.
covered and protected from the world in a bubble. So I really
Uh-huh.
didn't understand the negative side of human nature.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's important. It's important for us to go through those experiences. And I think every single negative experience, for example, a betrayal from a best friend, could be an opportunity for you to develop more compassion in yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to develop more empathy, to develop more love, to develop more forgiveness. And I think that exercise of forgiveness is important, especially in a world where there's so much strife and tumultuousness and maladies and anger and hatred, malevolence, sadness, war, fighting, violence, aggressiveness, belligerence. It's a very valuable way of thinking to be able to approach these situations from a perspective of love, joy, forgiveness. And circling back to the book from David Wilcock called The Synchronicity Key, basically what he was saying was that when you and he was quoting Carl Jung with his first book in 1952 on synchronicity.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what it was saying is that, when you're looking, and this happens to many people, it's like when you're looking at the clock, or you're looking at repeated numbers on a license plate or repeated numbers on a billboard, and you're seeing numbers that are being repeated. It could be like 555, 444, 77, 9922.
Mm-hmm.
I think the whole entire study of numerology is another rabbit hole that we could go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Numerology is fantastic, and you could ask any astrophysicist or quantum physicist, and they'll be like, the universe is a mathematical equation.
Mm-hmm.
Everything could be described in numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see that every single number carries with itself an energy and a meaning and a connotation, you can start interpreting these angel numbers. And what I'm trying to get at is that when we are vibrating on love and tolerance and respect and a classical dialogue, being polite, we're able to maintain ourselves on that high vibration of love, to
Mm-hmm.
be able to approach and open ourselves, to be able to forgive, at the same time protect our space, protect our soul, ourself, our
Mm-hmm.
people, but at the same time emanate the love. And that's when you keep seeing those repeated numbers. And people that have asked me, they say, "Oh, like not people, the clients." They ask me, "How? What does it mean when I get these repeated numbers?" And I say, "It means that you're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the right path. It's the universe giving you a confirmation that continue where you're going."
Mm-hmm. It's a science itself, right? Numerology, no?
Oh, totally. It's an
Yeah.
ancient science, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And astrology is another form. I feel like the ancient societies and cultures that were able to dominate astrology, right? You go back to like the Ming dynasty,
Mm-hmm.
and the emperors will be with their astrologer or their oracle or their psychic. Like every single king would have their like spiritual guru,
Mm-hmm.
their sorcerer in the castle, to be able to be like, okay, what's gonna happen with this war? Should I invade this country?
Mm-hmm.
When should I do this deal? What's happening in the stars? It's um it's it's fascinating how spirituality has taken a pivotal role. And then you get these presidents, right? You get, powerful presidents, powerful leaders of state that have a deep-seated spirituality, right? They'll say, "Oh, okay, I believe in astrology, so I'm gonna do this deal with this other president on this specific day. So with the energy of the higher power of the astros, there be more of a possibility that I'll be able to come to a peaceful agreement." Uh, because of that, and this is mostly the Asians, not mostly the Asians,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah, yeah.
um, Asian influenced Westerners that have accepted and adopted these ancestral, fantastic
Mm-hmm.
practices of rites and rituals and divination. I'm fascinated with the tarot.
Mm-hmm.
Tarot is very interesting. I think oracle cards, any card that you can be able to deposit your energy into,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because a tarot deck is a tarot deck, and it has the the devil, the fool,
Mm-hmm.
the high priestess,
Mm-hmm.
and there are other ones. And basically, when you the hermit,
Mm-hmm.
when you associate your energy, before you open the deck, you'll just like put your hands on it, put your energy on it,
Mm-hmm.
and there you deposit who you are. And the same thing that I do with the Bible.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Any form of divination, it could be the Bible, it could be for Buddhism is the Dharmapada, or for Christian for Hinduism is Bhagavad Gita, and for Buddhism is Dharmapada.
Dhammapada, but there's a whole range of books also. But
Many.
yeah, like
Okay, but it's not just one.
uh-huh.
Okay,
Dhammapada
so
is
what's
like the
another one?
essence they have like extracted. all into
Uh
one
huh.
book. Uh,
Okay.
uh-huh. We can say
Okay.
like if there was a specific book, we can say like the
Hmm.
essence of things are there in Dhammapada.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and even the Quran, something that's fascinating. The In the Quran, not many people know that Jesus is a central figure in the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about Jesus a lot in the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
So not many people know about that. People
Yeah.
think that it's just Allah, 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 but he's
Mm-hmm.
present in the sacred text.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Uh-huh.
So, you know, we're all love, we're all one. Let's just believe in a higher power and accept each other and respect each other and try to find peace and, you know, accept that not everybody's going to be like oneself.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen beautiful relationships disseminate because of not accepting and tolerating the differences
Mm-hmm.
when that's what makes it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you're going to live with somebody or you're going to be married with somebody and they're temperamentally very different than the big five, right? The big five scientific personality trait model, conscientiousness, openness, extrovertedness,
Mm-hmm.
neuroticism. It's the open one. Conscientiousness, openness, extroversion, neuroticism, and I forget the last one. But assertiveness is another part of it, and aesthetics also is there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Neuroticism has volatility and withdrawal, and when you take this test, you can understand yourself a little bit more. And for example, in orderliness, if a person that you're going to live with is exceptionally high in orderliness and they get super stressed out if like one thing is
Mm-hmm.
not out of the way and everything is like in the cupboard and it's like completely spotless clean, sprayed down, sanitized. Like if somebody like that is living with the person who's moderately low in orderliness, and they leave the cup there, they
Uh-huh.
take their jacket, they put it on the chair, maybe they eat cereal, they leave it there, they're not going to put it away immediately because they just poured themselves the cereal, but they leave it there, and then later in the day they'll do it. Those two people are going to be absolutely miserable
Mm-hmm.
in that sense of the dynamic at in the household.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it's important. My grandmother and grandfather, I every single time that I meet elderly couples
Mm-hmm.
that I know they've been together for a long time, I'll take advantage of that opportunity to ask them,
Ask them.
what's your secret? Like, what is
Uh-huh.
it? What is it that you do to be able to live a marriage that lasts for so many years?
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of them say, well, the majority of the men take the initiative and they say, she's right always, whatever you want, however you want, whenever you want, my love. And then the pattern goes, and then the wife goes, that's right. And I think that is wisdom. That is wisdom. I think that, giving your divine feminine uh, high priestess, um, your wife priestess,
Mhm,
your queen, your empress,
mhm,
your nun. That's not so much of a nun, but in the spiritual sense, right? She's been able to get her love for God. I think there should be some point. We were talking about celibacy in our first episode, and I think as a Westerner, I think that people, um,
Oh, yeah, we were talking about that.
not all people, but many people in the West are hypersexualized.
Mm-hmm.
hypersexualized because of what they see on the movies, hypersexualized because of what they see in the music videos with the artists, in the fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, fashion changes throughout time, and what you were seeing in the 40s of skin that was being revealed of women and men, it was like
Mm-hmm.
minuscule compared to what they're seeing now. It feels like
Yeah,
as the years go by, less and less clothing is on people.
sure.
I just want to know where we're going to be in 30 years as far as expression of
Mm-hmm.
sexuality, right? Because, you'd have the 60s and the 70s, 60s free love generation, 70s liberations of the blacks, gays, and women. And then, the disco, the, Bee Gees,
Mm-hmm.
roller disco,
Mm-hmm.
dancing, shake, 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 shake your booty. So I love how music plays a key role in the evolution of what's happening. And circling back to the 60s, I was in the 60s or the 70s. I have to get my music history right. But you'll get the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
The Beatles will start to experiment with LSD
Oh. Mm-hmm.
and having these hallucinogenic experiences is almost like they get a taste of divinity.
Mm-hmm.
They get a taste of divinity. There's actually medical research being conducted where they're experimenting with uh, hallucinogenics and LSD for medicinal therapeutic practices.
Mm-hmm.
And this is in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't touch it with a gold with a metal pole. I don't do drugs. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't had a drop of alcohol. I told you in the first episode that
Mm,
I haven't
sure,
had a drop
sure.
of alcohol in
Mm-hmm.
16 years. I used to drink for fun in with my friends,
Mm-hmm.
but it's certainly not like it just started throwing off my mood.
Mm-hmm.
My mood just started getting thrown off, and I'm like, this doesn't do me good. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that I'm so extroverted has been amazing to be able to say, I've buttressed myself on my personality to
Mm-hmm.
be able to, go out to a party and know that I'm loose and I'm disinhibited. I'm socially I'm flowing and I'm relaxed in the social environment to not need to depend on an
Mm-hmm.
exterior exogenous substance to be able to get the desired effect. And what's the desired effect? Let's have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Let's dance. You want to meet that girl? You want to meet that guy? You don't have to have alcohol, you know?
Yeah.
I think that it's a challenge because in our society in the West, drinking alcohol has become the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Drinking alcohol has become so common on the social setting
Mm-hmm.
that there's really is no way to go to a party
Mm-hmm.
and not drink.
Mm-hmm. And glorified,
I've also been
right?
studying and glorified the high.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with alcohol. I believe that wine, well aged wine and seeded and cropped, those grapes, wine can help you live until you're 100 years old as long as you're not abusing it and you're doing exercise and you're complementing it with herbs and supplementing and you're doing your yoga and I feel like the attitude of a centenarian is an attitude of easygoing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, he betrayed me, he hurt me, he stole from me. It's like, okay, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna take a little bit. It's easier said than done,
Sure.
but if we could have that practice of not letting things anger us
Mm-hmm.
and make us lose control, if we could attenuate that state of mind, state of being, we are adding years to our life.
Mm-hmm. And these things should be there to like enhance our lives, no, not to distract or like destroy. So
Yeah.
then I spoke with some people and they talk about different things, like even cannabis and these kind of things also. But only thing
Mm.
like what they say, like over the course of time and what they got to know from the research data and all these things, alcohol brings like the lowest kind of frequency than some others.
Alcohol.
Yeah,
Yeah,
alcohol does that. And I spoke to people like who were
it's true.
addicted to drugs and all, and they used to say like if they drank or when they drank, they used to become very aggressive. I'm not promoting
It
any others, but
happens.
I'm just telling like they,
No, it's true. It's
this
true.
came from them.
Yeah, because when you're blacking out and you're basically killing brain cells and gray matter and white matter, and you're blacking out, and the next day you don't remember anything you did but the night before.
Mm,
There's nothing wrong with using alcohol, but abusing it is where the problem
mm,
is, at least to my estimation.
mhm,
And if people could maybe even go on a cleanse, like on an alcohol liver
mhm,
detox, because if it's like an every weekend thing or an everyday thing at night, because now men get into their 50s, 60s, 70s, they're retired. What are they doing? They start drinking at 6 p.m.
mm,
and they're drinking and drinking and drinking. By that point, their liver has already gotten accustomed that they can hold their liquor, but they're wreaking havoc on their body,
mhm.
especially their liver, especially their brain. So I agree. I agree 100% with you.
There are some people who start from the morning and it goes on, male, female, both.
Mm. No, it's true.
Mm,
It's correct. So I think there's another great book from James Clear called Atomic Habits.
mhm,
And basically, he says that we are a product of our system.
mhm,
If our system is a system of, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to eat a high protein, high fat breakfast to keep my glucose levels down, I'm going to supplement, you know,
mhm,
ginger, turmeric, good anti-inflammatories, maybe K2D3 for your health in the joints. Then you make sure you get your good calcium and vitamin C intake. It could be, you could have your raw cheese, your organic Greek yogurt, no sugar, sweetened with cinnamon or sweetened with honey. Then you get your fruits, get your antioxidants, get your berries. I would be cautious with if you can't afford organic because of all the pesticides. I would do. There's a way that you can, put your fruit and vegetables in a bowl with baking soda,
mhm.
and that baking soda can disinfect and take off the
Ah, okay. Yeah,
pesticides.
yeah, yeah.
Other people also do it with vinegar. I haven't done it with vinegar,
Mhm.
but my
You try.
experience with baking soda has
Yeah.
been pretty good.
Uh-huh.
So, and also baking soda is a good form of cleaning in general.
Yeah, no, baking soda
Um,
really good does.
it's good. It's good. In my washing machine, dishwasher, I do baking soda,
Mm,
and maybe a teaspoon of the dishwashing soap, but
mhm,
it has to be a dishwashing soap without fragrance and without chemicals, something more organic.
mhm, mhm,
But I feel like in the fragrances, the parabens, the phthalates, the soaps, the perfumes, the makeup, like what we're putting into our skin and what we're spraying in the air in our homes, it's toxic for
it's
our bodies.
toxic. Yeah, yeah.
I don't use any fragrances on my clothes. I don't use any fragrances on the no deodorant. I don't use cologne. I just do fragrance-free deodorant, healthy, no phthalates, no aluminum, no parabens.
Mhm.
Um, I think essential oils could be a good option.
Yeah, no.
the oils might be better. The Arabs use incredible sort of rose oil that they like squeeze it out. It's incredible. It's really fascinating how the Arabs have that oudi, the musky
Mm-hmm.
fragrance. That's fascinating for me. And yeah, other than that, I stay away from fragrances. And ever since I've done that, um, I've felt my sinuses are more free. There's like they
Free.
got unblocked, not
Uh-huh.
unblocked. Maybe I was getting an allergic reaction, but if there's anything I do know is that those fragrances aren't good for the lungs, aren't good for the body.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my 2 cents on health, but we could keep talking about that. And I was telling you about sleep a little earlier,
Uh,
which is at nighttime. There's an incredible doctor named Dr. Eric Berg. He's a chiropractor, but he puts out really good content about vitamins and supplements and health. And he has a supplement at nighttime with, I think, I'm almost positive, zinc,
mm,
D3, magnesium glycinate. D3, magnesium glycinate.
mm-hmm.
I think there's one more,
Uh-huh.
but that's like a relaxation, sort of like smooth, start unwinding, drink your tea. There's another tea. There's a tea that I have from Bigelow. I'm not a product endorsement. I'm not sponsored by them.
Mm-hmm.
But they have a good poppy flower, lavender,
Mm-hmm.
chamomile, and passion flower tea.
Oh.
I'm trying to avoid the little tea bags because I know that they release microplastics, but this tea
Oh.
has been incredible for me. It's been
Uh-huh.
incredible for me to help me sleep. Um, I'm trying to see if I could get like that same formula and recipe that they have mastered and get it into like loose leaf tea like the Asians do.
Uh-huh.
Like the loose leaf and then put
Uh-huh.
it in like the little metal container,
Oh, okay.
lock it in, and then
Uh-huh.
dip it in the hot water.
Got it.
And there I basically make my own tea.
Tea. Uh-huh. It's possible,
I
right?
think it'll be better.
Uh,
Yeah. Like, we got these plastic water bottles. Like I have the plastic water bottle and I'm not going to show the company.
uh-huh.
But sometimes we have no choice but to
uh-huh.
eat from plastic. And another thing is like we should be storing our food in our refrigerators in glass Tupperware, either glass or stainless steel. We cannot, under any circumstance, be putting our hot food in plastic.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
BPAs that are being released are terrible for our health,
Why
and
been
we don't know about
microwaving, no?
this.
Microwaves.
No, no way.
Uh,
Microwaving plastic is like out of the
yeah,
question.
yeah, yeah. It's horrible,
If
right?
I'm gonna microwave, if I'm gonna microwave something, I'm gonna do it in like a ceramic plate or
But still
just
also
a
it
normal
has an
plate.
impact, right?
Still,
Microwaving.
no, absolutely, absolutely. The radiation's never good. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I eliminated all my black plastic plates
Mm-hmm.
because whatever is black and plastic is being recycled from electronics.
Uh-huh. Oh, really? Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, I eliminated all my black plastic silverware, bowls, plates. I threw them all away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's I'm like, oh man, I go to this fast food restaurant that tastes so good, that's so bad for me. There's like little ingredients that are put into it. I think they have the MSG.
MSG. Now they have even
MSG,
powerful ones than that even.
man, it's because how can you explain that you are not hungry at all? You're not hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You just ate a delicious meal at your mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go out with your friends. One of your friends are hungry. They didn't eat. They start eating, and the smell of the burger and the smell of the fries, it captivates you. Something happens, triggers in your brain, and you just start uncontrollably eating.
Mm-hmm.
I think that ever since I quit, actual desserts, Every once in a while, I'll sneak one when I'm with my aunt or whatever, because she cooks really good and bakes.
Mhm.
But as much as I can, the only times that I'm intaking sugar, it's either through fruit or through oat milk
Uh-huh.
with organic cereal, no sugar. I
Mhm.
try like looking at what I buy. I'm like, let me get this like with the least ingredients possible.
Mhm. Possible.
And when I get that, it's organic, least ingredients possible. Great. And then I'll sweeten it with like my maple syrup or my agave nectar or honey. But
Mhm.
so the refined sugar out of the question. Not happening.
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
happening. It's inflammatory. You see,
Mhm.
it's inflammatory. So I say use Western medicine. Get a good
Mhm.
doctor that you trust in, that wants to help you, that only wants to put the the least
Least.
amount of
I was on
medication,
good
the
say.
least amount of medication in your body, so that you achieve and attain and you thrive with your health.
Uh-huh.
That's the kind of Western doctor you want. And at the same time, you want to get a good natural path and a traditional Chinese medicine doctor, so you can complement it with what you're doing from the West. He'll give you your supplements, he'll give you your acupressure, he'll give you your acupuncture, he'll give you your ointments, your balms, your tinctures. You know, for atopic dermatitis, is aloe vera gel.
Mhm.
You know, many doctors will say, "Oh, okay, you have atopic dermatitis. I'm gonna give you a steroid cream."
Mhm.
But why do you need? There's a moment where you might need the steroid cream. All depends on what your doctor's vision is for you and what they're seeing you need.
Mhm.
But after that ends, you could use aloe vera. There's
Sure.
different kinds of eczemas, but atopic dermatitis, for many people, aloe vera works like a charm. They also use white pretzel atom, Vaseline, coconut oil also. So there's different forms of naturally
Mhm.
approaching skin conditions, but always go to the gut.
Mhm.
What are you eating? How is your stomach?
Mhm.
If your stomach is good, your skin's gonna be good, your hair's gonna be good. Oh, biotin.
Mhm.
And your joints are gonna be good.
Mhm.
So I think it's important. But those are my 2 cents. We could keep talking about
Mhm.
health in our next episode, because that's my other passion. I just love
Okay.
talking about that and studying it. But yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
And even
thank
petroleum
you.
based products, right? Petroleum based product.
White petrolatum. I don't know if it's petroleum, but they call it petroleum jelly, right?
Yeah, they take, and many products we use have this. Even medicines have this. That's why now it's happening. Like, I'm not pointing fingers or anything. I'm just telling, like, most of things
Mm-hmm.
from maybe in almost all the products we use, there is some part that is coming from a petroleum base. That's why it's there.
Really
Yeah, really. Even in medicines,
fascinating.
tires, you name it, everything.
Wow.
The roads we go
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from that. So medicines also have. So
Interesting.
these things like we apply, they also has the petroleum base. So it's
Mm-hmm.
the body doesn't accept that.
No.
Our body is not used to like taking something, some substance like that. So we think like when we put it in our body, like when we drink it or like put it inside the body, how it will be, no? Even if outside it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't accept, but we are
Even worse if you intake it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So medicines also have that. Maybe the
Yeah.
capsules,
So.
maybe the inside of some part of the ingredients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. There's a I think this website is called like Liver Talks,
mm-hmm,
something like that. I gotta get the name. Not endorsed or not sponsored by it,
mm-hmm, sure.
but it and there are other websites like it, but what you can do is like you can take a picture, scan the QR code, or type in the name of the natural supplement that you're taking, and it could tell you if it's like third party tested,
Mm-hmm,
um, laboratory approved,
mm-hmm,
because many of these natural supplements aren't FDA approved.
Mm-hmm.
So you want third party tested, non GMO, vegan, organic. Make sure it's a credible company, good quality supplement. Because, since it's not approved by the FDA, you really have to make sure that what you're putting in your body is the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, nothing. It's health. Health is an everyday practice.
Sure. That's a key thing
Every day.
in our lives. Even to live and even to do good things, we should be healthy, no? Help people and all these things.
Absolutely.
Uh,
100%.
if the basic things that are keeping us alive is making us sick, that's something to
Mm-hmm.
consider, right?
Yep.
Mm.
I believe Steve Jobs said, I don't know if it was him, but it might have been him, that he said, if you don't eat your food as your medicine, you'll
I
eat
think
your medicine as your food.
it was him, no? Yeah, yeah.
It's like such a good quote, and it's so true.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to watch out for that refined sugar.
Mm. I saw like another article recently, and they say like even rice and cane sugar or cane.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the things they come with the outer covering, no? Then it's quite
Mm-hmm.
safe for the body. But now
Mm.
even the rice they remove the outer cover. Uh, and that, not the hard part. I mean, like what is associated with the seed. Uh, and then what happens is it becomes like carbohydrate only. So when we go to a fast food place and all, they just give sometimes white rice, no? Uh,
Mm.
so that's like a lot of carbohydrate. But when it's covered by something like the husk they call, no, or like the what do they call it, like the outer brown thing that covers, it becomes like a protective thing, and it helps for digestive processes, even the body to accept it, and it keeps that
Mm.
danger zone away. So even sugar, like
Interesting.
when it's covered by that the sugar cane, uh, then it's in a. But when they refine it and try to use chemicals and change it, then it comes to the
Mm.
danger zone.
Yeah.
And that's why in cultures they use like lot of vegetables to compensate it. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
even when they consume these things like especially rice and all, they use lot of veggies to like compensate uh,
Yeah.
for the digestive process.
To have the carbs through another source.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that their animal protein is very important.
Mhm.
I know I know some people are vegetarian, and there's another book called the Blood Types, the diet for the blood types,
Mhm.
and I think by the blood type A and B are more suitable for a vegetarian diet.
Mhm.
But like the O's, I'm O positive. We
Mhm.
need meat to be able to feel good. So
Mhm.
every single body is different. You can't generalize, but I do feel the benefits from eating animal protein.
Mhm.
I think there are especially ground beef,
Mhm.
because when you get the ground beef, they're incorporating organs, collagen, maybe a little bit of bones, marrow, and they're all putting it into the ground to
Mhm.
be able to, and then you're intaking everything to be able to it's nutritious for you.
Mhm.
So as opposed to like, oh, just give me the lean, you know,
Cuts.
thinly sliced, don't give
Uh-huh.
me any meat, and it's like you're not getting all the other nutrients and
Uh-huh.
things that you need uh, to be healthy. So also, I stay away from processed meats
Mhm.
like cold cuts, sausage, hot
Mhm.
dogs, um, etc., etc. Salami,
Mhm.
just because I think that what you want like grass fed, organic, pasture raised.
Mm,
just like really as healthy as possible. Obviously, it's gonna cost more, but it's
mm,
an investment in your health. If there's anything we should be investing our money in, is in our health every single day.
mm. Yeah, yeah. And the irony is like these were normal things before, and they changed it, and now here we have to pay a bigger price to get the same, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, because those days this was a normal thing, no? Even the animals were like
Yeah.
kept and fed, and these things were done, no? But then they started to industrialize all these things, and then they started like messing things around, no? So now people have to go like to the pole south.
Hormones.
Yeah, no?
It becomes something so mass made for millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, but if we could get grass fed and pasture raised, it's
Mm-hmm.
organic, it's the best way to go. But what I said about the baking soda and the vinegar,
Mm-hmm.
that could be a good alternative if you can't afford organic. And it gets rid of like 95% of the pesticides.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause in reality, washing just underwater is not going to get them all off.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit, but not enough.
And
And eating,
mm-hmm.
people say, "Oh yeah, because I could get all my vitamins and uh, from the food that I'm eating." But in reality, in this day and age, at least in America, the because of the way that the food is being cropped with all the pesticides, they're they're losing the nutritional value.
Should. Mm-hmm.
So it's important for us to support American companies and French companies. I support Boiron, not sponsored by Boiron, but they do an incredible homeopathic line of sublingual little herbal, like small little
Mm-hmm.
round white ones. You just put it under the
Uh-huh.
tongue,
Yeah, no?
made out of herbs.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes the Boiron allergy calm is more effective than the
Mm-hmm.
common Benadryl or Western version of an antihistamine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a great doctor named Dr. Tanya Elliott. She's an allergist, board certified internal medicine specialist and allergist. She's American, and she talks about how you can get a specific therapy where they inject a very little amount every week of the histamine that you're allergic to, and they
Okay.
create
And
a
the body
immunity,
immunity.
an
Uh-huh.
immunity and a natural antihistamine response without needing to take the exogenous version.
Mm-hmm.
So that is very fascinating because I have a lot of allergies, and I think that could be a good
Mm-hmm.
approach
Mm-hmm.
to be able to, I think medicine is fantastic, and the advances in America and in Asia and going back to the millennia and grasping and gathering things from the past to be able to use it in the present. And if we can go as natural as possible in the way we treat our maladies before going to the chemicals,
Mm-hmm.
and we could solve it with the herbs. If herbs are okay, maybe you're taking other medication that you can't take herbs, but you could take natural supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Do it because you have to take care of your health. You don't want to be taking painkillers and be hurting your what's that, riñones, your kidneys or
Kidney,
your liver,
liver.
because taking it long term could affect you.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other forms of natural pain relief that we can help ourselves without having to hurt ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then,
All right,
yeah, no?
great.
Thank you for you shared so many things today. It was wonderful, and
I know this is a good episode.
yeah, you have read a lot, and no, and like try to how to say inquire about a lot of things, which is very fascinating. Eh?
Thank you.
And thank you for
Likewise, that was
sharing. Eh?
so insightful. So insightful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's always a pleasure talking to you. And the Golden Lotus podcast is very special with you as part of it.
Uh, and what you share and the points you brought was very fascinating. And hopefully people
Yeah,
can get use of these things, and no, we want to like educate people
absolutely.
or like bring awareness to what's
Sure.
happening and what can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so so let's wrap it up for today, no?
Okay.
And wish
All
like
right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Golden Lotus podcast. This is Sanji and Adan. We love you. God bless. Namaste. And have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in. See you on the next episode. If you like it, share, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and all the best. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.
okay, see you.
Namaste. Bye bye.